need to build and bolster bridges of communication and trust. Terrorist traffic and lies and stereotypes about others, other religions, other ethnic groups. So let's share the truth of our faiths with each other.
We're going to have to put boots on the ground, my friend, and we're going to have to do a lot more things than we're doing now if we are going to stem this tide and stop this horrific killing.
The summit at the White House, the Violent Extremism Summit, wrapping up today. This as a former CIA director came out and said this about the president's rhetorical gymnastics on this issue.
The president is a sort of world champion of political correctness. He looks scared.
Right.
He looks as if he's afraid of using the adjective Islamic to describe the terrorists.
Semantics aside, there is word that there is a coming attack to retake Mosul in Iraq, the city that was taken over by ISIS. U.S. military leaders briefing that they are ready for April or May, training up some 25,000 Iraqi forces to retake that town. So what about that? Let's bring in our panel. Judge Andrew Napolitano, Fox News senior judicial analyst, Mara Liasson, national political correspondent of National Public Radio, and syndicated columnist Charles Krauthammer. Judge, first of all, a little interesting that we had this briefing on background that they're coming at the end of April.
You know, I am not a military person by background. I was in ROTC and I was in the reserves, but I didn't see any active duty. But to me, as a simple, plain-spoken trial lawyer, Dr. Krauthammer, it seems absurd that you would announce when an attack is going to take place. Preposterous that you would do so. Unheard of. Almost a violation of law by revealing national security secrets to the enemy in such a manner that it can help the enemy. I can't even think of why they would do it unless they want to still criticism of the president by saying, here's the plans that he's going to help carry out. It's almost ridiculous.
There is that. The Pentagon saying that they also privately saying they want to goose the Iraqis to say, get your act in gear.
Well, I would like to believe that they have a reason. Maybe that is it for doing this. I hope they have a reason, and it's a good one. But that aside, I think it's a good thing that they actually believe the Iraqis are going to be ready by April or May to do this, because we've been hearing for months and months the reason they haven't been able to do it is because the Iraqi army just isn't ready. So I think that's a good thing because we have to fight terrorism, whatever you want to call it, on a lot of different fronts, ideological and military. And if there are real setbacks on the ground, ISIS is setback on the ground, I think that will be the best first step.
Charles.
Well, you do forfeit the element of surprise. I think the administration has to recognize that. And if the reason is that we're trying to goose the Iraqi allies to get ready to actually go ahead and do this, that does not speak well of the readiness and the initiative and the enthusiasm of these Iraqi allies. So I'm not sure it's a good sign any way around.
A couple polls. Fox News, defeating ISIS will require ground troops. 60% now saying that will be required. 62%, I should say, defeating ISIS will require ground troops. And the next one, is the president being tough enough? Should he be tougher? 68%, and that tracks with a CBS poll. How great is the threat from ISIS? A major threat. 65% now say ISIS is a major threat. I mean, Mara, this is...
You know, what's so interesting about this is that we've been told for months and months and months, Americans, war-weary, will not stand for boots on the ground, and that's pretty much how the White House has designed its strategy. But the American people understand something. You can't just use air power. It's not working. We've learned that over and over again in many conflicts, including in Bosnia. And they understand that they're going to have boots on the ground. And I think the American people are smart enough to know that we're not going to reoccupy Iraq, or what was in the AUMF, how Obama phrased it, enduring offensive combat presence. We're not going to have that. But we are probably going to need a lot more forward American boots on the ground.
I agree fully with Mara, but I don't think that's going to happen under this president. It is just not in his constitutional makeup in the last 23 months of his presidency to do something as profound as to put boots on the ground. Militarily, I don't know how we could defeat ISIS if we want to defeat them, if we really believe that they are this existential threat. to us, not to others in the Middle East, but to us. I don't know how that could happen without boots on the ground, but boots on the ground are not going to happen under this president, no matter what the Congress authorizes him to do.
All right, what about the wrap-up of this 3-day summit and the overview of what came out of it, what didn't come out of it?
Anything of any importance. The idea behind it is the president wanted to assuage the feelings and the anxieties of the Muslim community here and around the world. This is a good thing to do, but that it is a 3 days worth of thing to do at a time when Christians are under savage attack throughout the Middle East, where this is the biggest ethnic cleansing since at least the Balkan Wars, where communities who have lived in the Middle East longer than Islam has existed for 2,000 years are being wiped out, enslaved, executed, crucified, and that the Christian presence, which has been there for 2,000 years in the Middle East, is at stake. Is this the #1 priority of this administration, and an administration that supposedly is the bulwark against these savages? I find it extremely bizarre.
Quickly, just to deal with it, Rudy Giuliani saying the president doesn't love America, then kind of doubling down but clarifying, saying that he just doesn't talk about what Ronald Reagan talked about and Bill Clinton, how much he loves America.
You know what? I think he should have quit while he was ahead. I mean, to say that Barack Obama is not Ronald Reagan in the eyes of a Republican, I mean, that's just a given. I think he should have stopped digging himself a hole.
I know Rudy. I like him. I think he's a deep thinker. I think there's an unfortunate choice of words. I don't know how he could possibly know what's in the president's heart.
Next up, Hillary Clinton accepting money from foreign governments. What difference does that make?